Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Taurus energy. And we're going to lay out these cards, see what story wants to come out. See how people are harnessing their Taurus energy. Taurus energy can have to do with it's Earth sign energy. It has to do with our philosophy of life. Our Taurus energy kind of dictates the decisions that we make in our life because it's kind of like the Supreme Court in our own head. We have our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. We have our more worldly nature, which can also be our more immature nature and prideful nature, worldly nature. And those aspects debate within ourselves. And the Taurus energy is kind of the conclusions we've come to, and that's how we're going to live our life at any given moment in time after we do this debate within ourselves. So some people have come out with the conclusion. They're a little more motivated and inspired by hope and faith and belief in themselves and in love, and have learned some lessons in life that, love is to be motivated by love and to be just and fair. And some other people might think, I want to be in relationships, but I don't really want to do love. And I might want to be in relationships for other reasons. The status, the ego, the image, them being indulging someone else. Just a little more caught up in some ways of viewing life that other people maybe don't think are just or fair, or they're more about themselves, more materialistic. A shadowy Taurus relationship can be where people think one person or the other should be the more indulged person in the relationship. And people who have that way of living life could definitely be defensive of love, because they could even be afraid that people will use love to manipulate them, because shadowy Taurus and shadowy Taurus energy, or shadowy energy at large, is about manipulating people. And so some people are distrustful of love because maybe they've known people who are loving who manipulated them. And so maybe they decided, you're a sucker if you're loving, and if there's other people out there in the world who have hope and faith and belief and love, well, they're suckers, and they're going to be one of the people to go manipulate them. And other people don't think that way. So, at the end of the story, we have the Five of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles, which are both Taurus energy. And at the end of the story, we have the Four of Swords and the Seven of Swords. The Four of Swords can be thinking about what we think is just and fair. And if we see the truth, we will move forward in high vibe, Libra, Aquarius, and Taurus energy, aligned with truth and love and listening to our intuition, instead of letting our fears or insecurities, the past, the world, other people, our ego, our more immature nature manipulate us. We've learned the lesson we were meant to learn. The Five of Pentacles can talk about detaching from an old way of living life. The truth has set you free. And you're going to go invest in your truth. If people are more shadowy, they could kind of reflect on past pain and heartbreak and what they think is just and fair. But you'd have to see the truth. And if people don't want to see the truth, that means they harness a more shadowy Libra, Aquarius energy. I think I can just keep doing things the way I've been doing it. So in their Five of Pentacles, it's like, I'm just going to go get in a new relationship, a new job, a new friendship, keep moving forward the way I've been moving forward, wanting to live more from their mind than their heart, letting their more worldly nature and whatever it is that manipulates them from choosing love, they're going to keep making their life about what they make it about, or staying in denial it should be about love, and try to manipulate other people who are loving. So what do we have? We start out the reading with the Lover's card, which is Gemini energy, about our free will nature, that we can align with our more hopeful, believing nature or our more worldly nature. And people are going to align with whatever their idea of the dream life is. In the star, like the Seven of Swords, is Aquarius energy. I have a dream. I have this way of living life and viewing life that I think would be the dream life. And that's in Gemini is also air sign energy, the third. This is Libra, this is Aquarius, this is the third air sign. So the people who all three in their air sign energies of themselves, of what they think is just and fair, either being more about themselves or more about these things of the world, that's their truth. And those people, that is their idea, maybe just to live more from their mind than their heart. That's what they love. That's their idea of the dream life. That's how they're going to keep moving forward. Other people in all three of their air sign energies within themselves align with their more high vibe Gemini nature of self. I have more hope and faith and belief in myself, in my dreams, and in love. And that's my idea of the dream relationship. Now, sometimes people who have these opposite ways of viewing life, you can like each other, you can have a lot of things in common, you can be attracted to each other, you can have similar things that drive and motivate you, and you can get in a more mismatched relationship. And if you get in a more mismatched relationship, you move forward in that, in the Page of Pentacles, but then we have the Two of Swords and the Death, that we kind of didn't listen to our intuition, that the Death card talks about death and transformation and deep, meaningful relationships in high vibe. And we're kind of moving forward again with people in their Libra and Scorpio energy that kind of might want to stay in denial of the truth is supposed to be about love, because Scorpio also is water sign energy about deep, meaningful relationships. And some people are like, oh, I don't really have to do love, and I don't really have to do a deep, meaningful relationship. I like them, they like me. I'm sure we can move forward in the Chariot, which can talk about it'll move forward victoriously and successfully. But because we maybe didn't listen to our intuition, we don't see that it's not going to work out the way we want, because our truth and the Chariot is Cancer energy, emotional water sign energy, kind of what drives and motivates us, and what we love is different. But we could move forward in those relationships in the Two of Pentacles, because we're still at that stage of life where we come in contact with all these different people to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't, what we think is just and fair, what we view as victorious and successful. We all have our more emotional nature, our more worldly nature, and it's trying to get more clear kind of about our truth of this mix that we want, that we would find as this idea of the dream life. I want a sprinkle of this, a bunch of this, a little bit of that. And, everybody's kind of mix is different. But at a core foundational level, what really influences it is more of what our truth at a core foundational level is. Do I have more hope and faith and belief and love? And is that kind of the guiding factor that I look to? Am I willing to learn lessons in life? You have to get out of your ego nature. That is our more worldly, egoic nature of self. And some people love, they're kind of shadowy. Aquarius can be that you're still kind of more caught up in yourself. Like everybody else should put aside their pride and ego, but not me. I'm like the star of the show. And so we could view those people as being quite immature. They're still very egocentric and self-centered, and it's just more about them. And they could be people who, they don't want to change that. The Death card is about death and transformation, and they're like, no, I'm good like this. I like it to be more about me. And I might stay in denial that I'm more about me. And I might stay in denial. Shadowy Taurus can be that I'm a little stubborn and prideful. And I don't want to change. I want to keep moving forward the way I view life. And some people are very, again, egotistical and self-centered, and they indulge that nature within themselves, and they're looking to find other people who will indulge them being that way. And if they can find someone who maybe doesn't listen to their intuition, who maybe hasn't learned to love themselves and is tipped out of balance and kind of going back and forth, well, then they could get someone to move forward with them in a relationship. And of course, they're like, hey, this is great. This works for me. I think this is just and fair. But the problem is anybody that's someone who is more immature, someone who is full of themselves, someone who wants it to be more about them, or people who are really kind of more caught up in the world and that's their truth and it's more about the ego and the image and the status and that's why they like to be in relationships and that's the driving factor for being in relationships. Well, unless they're in a relationship with someone who has that same philosophy of life in their Taurus energy, um, some of the other people, as they move forward in relationship with them, are going to kind of get more clear about what their truth is over time. And if this isn't their truth, and they see that some people are more about themselves, indulge their more immature nature, maybe in the page, maybe they're more codependent, and then they want to be in relationships with other people who are more codependent. And other people in our worldly nature, we want to invest in these things of the world. We have these dreams, we have these goals, there's things we want to move forward with. We want to be in friendship, we want to be in a relationship, might want to get married, might want to have children. We're kind of looking for people who are kind of motivated and inspired by those things also. And if we find some people that we get along with, we could have love for, that it seems like we have some of these common goals, we could move forward with those people and we could be in friendship or relationship or at a job for quite a long time. And we have a lot of things to work through in a relationship that we kind of might need to compromise on, right? And we could maybe work through a lot of those things. And that's why we stay in friendship and relationship or at a job for a long time. But there can come a point where we kind of have to deal with this more core foundational truth of what we think is just and fair, why we get in relationships, why we stay in relationships, kind of at a core foundational level of why we do what we do, why we invest in what we invest in, why we think the way we think, why we view ourselves, view others, view relationships in this certain way that we think is just and fair versus the way they could think things are just and fair, right? And if the other people harness this energy in a more high vibe way where they are more aligned with their hopeful, believing, loving nature, they are more motivated and inspired by love and kind of maintain more balance within themselves, and they're not kind of more about themselves, more about being in relationships for these things of the world. They want justice and fairness and balance and truth and love. And eventually they could kind of realize that some of the people that they're in friendship or relationship with, that that's not really their truth. But in the Two of Swords back here, the Two of Swords can be where we're not seeing the truth. And our intuition could have been trying to tell us, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't invest in that, you should keep your distance from some of those people. But because we so wanted some of these things in the world, and we want friendship, we want relationship, and again, might want to get married, have children, that sometimes we didn't listen to our more emotionally balanced, loving, intuitive nature because we wanted those things in the world. For the first 30, 50 years of our life, we're kind of tipped a little bit more in favor about these things of the world, I think, most of us. You can be a loving person, but there's a lot of things of this world that we want to go indulge in, we view as victorious and successful, that we're sure will make us happy, and we got these lessons to learn. And as we go through life, we kind of can go on a journey in certain things at all these different stages of life that we've been at, right? 15 to 18, 18 to 21, 21 to 25, etc. And as we kind of go on those journeys at those different stages of life that we're in, hopefully we kind of realize when we kind of went down the wrong path, right? Oops, nope, this didn't work out. And the Two of Swords can be, I feel stuck. Uh, and maybe again, what we think is just and fair is different. And if people have a more hopeful believing spirit or they don't, shadowy Scorpio can be people who are more emotionally shallow, superficial. Again, could be more motivated to just kind of indulge himself in relationships or be in relationships for these other reasons. Maybe don't want to invest in themselves emotionally. So, how do they really invest in other people and have a more deep, meaningful relationship with them if they don't really even invest emotionally to get to know themselves? Because that's kind of Scorpio energy. Exploring the mysteries of life emotionally. Well, we're emotionally complex human beings. But some people could have decided that's confusing and I'm confusing and it is confusing and I don't really want to deal with it. So they could have decided to invest in, just thinking, kind of staying in denial of the truth that, that maybe they would benefit from working through some of their emotional confusion, right? Kind of investing in it and growing and maturing it. But some people decided, no, it's confusing. I don't think I need to do that. So that can be people who think, I think I can use my emotions more manipulatively, which is shadowy Aquarius of the Seven of Swords. I think I'm smart. I think I can, air sign energy and anybody can harness this within themselves. I think I can live more from my mind than my heart. I think I know how to present myself. I have an idea. I'm going to present myself as a more emotionally balanced, loving person, motivated and inspired by love than I really am. Problem solved. I am going to just juggle the truth in the two of Pentacles. I really don't I'm really not more motivated and inspired by love. I'm really not more emotionally balanced. I really am tipped in favor of being more about these things of the world. I just came up with the idea that I'll use my emotions, and that means they also harness a more shadowy Cancer energy within themselves. I can just use these things kind of more as I need them, which shadowy energy is being more manipulative. I will use the gifts and resources that I have, my emotional nature, my passionate nature, my worldly nature, my status, my words, my charm, my looks, my social clout, whatever. I'll just use all those things manipulatively. I don't really have to grow and mature myself. And I've seen other people and have known people who are more just and fair and loving and encouraging and inspiring. I'll just act like those people. I'll act like those people do in a relationship. I'm sure that'll work out fine. Well, that can work. And some people wear a very good false mask. They're operating from their more shadowy egoic nature. They just wear a false mask of being a more emotionally mature, stable, grounded person who looks at life from a higher perspective. They're not more about themselves. They're not more about it being about them or them being indulged or the status or the ego or the image. It's more a balance, but it's not really the truth of who they are. Well, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all of the time. And the people who really did learn lessons in life and saw that when they kind of went down the wrong path or acted in a way that was more immature or prideful or manipulative or being full of themselves or immature or whatever, they kind of saw the truth of it and they put an end to it. You have to be willing to see the truth. Oh, that is more immature. That is more about me, or that is more about these things, or whatever. Those people really did see the truth. And then the death card talks about death and transformation. I shed an old version of myself to give birth to a new version of myself, authentically. I picked up my investment in that more immature way of living life and viewing life, and out of love for myself. I don't want to live a false life. I don't want to try to manipulate and control people. I really do want to grow and heal and mature myself. you know? And when I see the truth, or I get in relationships with other people who I could like, enjoy, have love for, but they keep, it could appeal to me in my more immature worldly nature, it's going to stop me in the death card from kind of moving forward in a more emotionally balanced way. And I have a dream. And I could like those people, and I could kind of, part of me could want to stay in friendship or relationship with them. But if they keep not detaching from some of their more immature ways of being, and I don't detach from some of my more immature ways of being, we'll keep moving forward in a relationship, but we both keep staying more immature. And if I've kind of seen that I don't like that, and I'm not kind of moving forward in my life, and it does kind of keep me more out of balance. And though I could love some of those things and love some of those people, it's kind of like my more creative, inspired, intuitive nature is telling me, you know, you have the free will to do that. But did you have a dream for yourself? Was this it? Living your life like this, like forever? Or were you going to work through your fears and your insecurities and you're more immature and codependent and whatever to move forward in life, to see what needs to be let go of, put an end to, and see how it kind of keeps you in denial and more immature, more codependent, or whatever? Do you want to live your life that way forever? And it's like, no. So then you see what I need to detach from. And so then we detach from some people in our life who might not move forward with us because they still think that's just and fair, want to live their life that way, or if it was being more self-indulgent or more codependent or more about, I don't know, indulging in things of the world to feel better, making that our dream life. Look how much fun we're having and look what we're doing, but really we kind of are staying in denial of the truth that we're staying more immature, or they're just more materialistic, whatever. Some other people picked up their investment in those people and they move forward. Well, then, as other people are kind of moving forward and they quit acting certain ways, feeling certain ways, behaving in certain ways, thinking certain ways, you just put away your more childish ways of being, some people, over time as you kind of grow up and mature yourself. But some people didn't. But since other people are acting different, behaving different, have kind of put some of those more immature ways behind them, they want to look like they have too. But they didn't. It's just like that follows with them. That still is, they still think and align with that and think it's just and fair. But they could think what everyone does is people just kind of juggle the truth and people wear false masks. And because they could think, oh, those people really aren't more mature. Those people really haven't kind of tempered their ego. Those people aren't more just and fair. Those people really haven't detached from their more immature, self-indulgent, being more about themselves nature. They just create the illusion that they have. And so then, that's how they could rationalize it to themselves. But what they don't realize is some people really moved on. And if they were to get in a friendship or relationship with some of these people that are like this, and then these people kind of decide to, as time goes by, to kind of start kind of being deceptive and manipulative and wanting to repeat some poor past patterns, thinking that's kind of just and fair. Like, oh, I know these people act like they're more emotionally balanced and mature, but I think they're like me and they're more deceptive or manipulative or full of themselves or want it more about them. The Seven of Swords can be that some people aren't listening to their intuition and their judgment is clouded. And they still have some of these ways of thinking and behaving, and they kind of still think it's just and fair. And then they try to act that way, repeating a poor past pattern, because they really didn't learn that lesson at some earlier point in time in their life. I mean, some of us, if we move forward, if we were to even feel tempted, like there's a part of us that I want to feel like I want to do this, or I want to say that, or I want to act like this. I mean, we'd kind of be appalled at ourselves, like, oh my God, that would be like me acting like indulging my old 15-year-old self or something, right? And we're just like, oh my God, I do not want to go back to acting and behaving like some 15, 18, 21, or 25-year-old. I've been there, I've done it. No, I have put some of those ways behind me, and I do not want to engage in that type of behavior. And I'm not going to. There can be things that tempt us in our more immature worldly nature, which can be acting petty, envious, jealous, uh, backstabby, whatever it could be, I don't know. Just think of some ways of being that people could have acted like age 15 through 25, right? And some people are like, I'm not doing that. I might be around other people who choose to do that. And sometimes it can be people trying to get us down in the dirt with them. Like, kind of like, oh, you're not who you say you are. And you try to act like you're this type of person, but I think I can get you back down in the dirt again. And some people do that in our life. And partly it's because it really is part of their truth and their character and way of interacting with people that they think is just and fair. And so they still kind of want to engage in it. Repeat some poor past patterns and get other people to do it with them. And for some people that were moving forward and could be moving forward in a relationship with some people who are like that, where some people didn't learn some of these lessons, some people aren't as balanced and more emotionally mature as they present themselves as being, something's going to happen, because things can move along quite well, and then that's when someone's like, I think I kind of got them invested in kind of the illusion of who I am, maybe have invested in me, love me. I think I can start fucking with this person. That's shadowy Seven of Swords. I think I can kind of manipulate this person. So, while one person is thinking everything's going to move forward in kind of this more just and fair way and balanced way, and kind of like this dream is going, because again, the Seven of Swords, like the Star card, is that we have this dream we want to bring into reality. So while the one person is motivated and inspired to put in work and effort to be just and fair, treat other people the way they like to be treated, detach from their kind of more being about themselves or more immature and self-indulgent ways, seeing the truth. If I want this to work and I don't want to sabotage it, I need to put in this work and effort and align with truth and love, and that's how my dream will come into reality. And while they're doing that, the other person is doing this for the people in our life where we're more mismatched. Well, the high vibe people are harnessing this energy in a more high vibe way and rejecting harnessing it in a more shadowy way. The shadowy people are hiding that they do harness it in a more shadowy way, but they don't want you to know that. So what is it? The Knight of Pentacles. So Virgo energy. And Virgo energy can be what our long-term goals are. And some people's long-term goals are, we have all three earth signs out here, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. So some people, their truth is living more from their mind and their worldly nature of self. It is more motivated and inspired by this long-term goal to be in relationships and friendships, be in a job, but it's more for how it makes them probably look victorious and successful in some way. And it maybe makes them look like a more emotionally balanced, stable, grounded, loving person, when really love isn't really what drives and motivates them. But of course, they want people to view them that way, because we don't want probably people in the world to know I'm kind of more about myself and the ego and the image and how it benefits me. And I don't really want to do love. And they move forward in these relationships and they don't realize that they have a different truth, that the underlying truth and reason why they invest in it are for these other reasons. And eventually the high vibe people are confused in the Seven of Swords. Like, I'm trying to bring this dream into reality. Like, I feel like I'm doing everything that I can, but the Five of Pentacles can be, I kind of feel left out in the cold. And so that could go back to this emotional feeling. And so in the more worldly view, it could seem to have a lot of these things of the world that we wanted, but it's lacking in abundance in more the emotional way, you know? Like, it looks like love, it quacks like love, but I don't really feel like the person is authentically investing from love. So emotionally, the relationship doesn't like grow and mature itself. In a lot of other ways, it could become more abundant, more stability, more security. There could be a lot of things we like about it, things we love about it. But it seems like the relationship emotionally isn't moving forward. It doesn't grow and mature over time. And part of the reason it doesn't grow and mature over time is because the other people really don't want to invest in it more emotionally growing and maturing over time, because they would emotionally have to grow and mature then also. And that means they'd have to be more invested in that truth and wanting to move forward in that way. And some of them are like, no, I don't want to move forward. I'm willing to move forward in it, but I want to keep living more from my mind than my heart. That's more what I think is my truth. And again, you can keep moving forward in it, but the high vibe people, it works for the people who are more shadowy because they have someone in their life who's being more loving and encouraging and authentic, motivated and inspired by love, maintains more balance within themselves to be more just and fair and align with their hopeful, believing, loving nature. Well, yeah, it's great to be in a relationship with people like that. But the loving people start to realize they're not in a relationship with someone like that. That this person is not who they say they are. It's kind of more of a way of presenting themselves to come across like that type of person, but it's not authentically who they are. And then the high vibe people don't know if they want to keep investing in it, because they'd be moving forward in it in something that really isn't aligned with their truth, kind of defending an illusion that looks like love, acts like love, but it's more motivated and inspired to be in it and stay in it for the status, the ego, or the image, the stability, the security, the family. But the other people wanted to do love and deep, meaningful relationships. That's what makes it all worthwhile. And some people will keep moving forward in it, feeling left out in the cold, and maybe feeling deceived and manipulated, but they're not willing to detach from it. And they have the free will to do that. Just like some people could be in a job where they're dealing with people who are kind of immature or bossy or controlling. And of course, that's not the impression they gave when you interviewed for them. And then you get in the job, and as time goes by, it's just like, oh my gosh, these people or that person is not who they said they were. But, we can make decisions to stay in a job that we don't really like. And the thing is with the Seven of Swords, we both Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus are fixed sign energies. When we've put work and effort into something, we'd really like those things to work out the way we want. But are we willing to see the truth when they're not? And we can always keep hoping. The fives talk about change. We can always keep hoping other people will change. We can even distance ourselves from people and we still aren't moving forward in a way because we keep hoping other people will change, that they'll learn some lessons and they'll see the truth. But part of the whole experience even happening was for us to love ourselves enough to not stay in denial of the truth. At any time we're in relationship with people, people have the free will to invest in truth and love and justice and fairness, grow up and mature themselves, temper their ego, treat other people the way they like to be treated, to work together with those people cooperatively or not. And some people, the people who love really isn't the driving factor, kind of in a way, they're kind of deceiving themselves also and deceiving the people they're in a relationship with, because we all kind of like to hang out with people who are more like ourselves. If you are more immature, if you're in a relationship with people who are more just and fair and balanced, it requires you to maintain more balance within yourself. But if you like to really be more immature, you'd really kind of like to be in relationships with people who are more immature. If it requires you to temper your ego, but you really don't like to temper your ego and you really like it to be more about you, or more boastful, more prideful, more materialistic or something, eventually it's just like, oh my gosh, this is killing me. I have to maintain more balance within myself and I don't like it. And that's where we're both deceiving ourselves. To change somebody's core foundational truth of what drives and motivates them, that may never happen. It'd be like someone trying to get someone who is more compassionate, empathetic, loving, and encouraging to people, to get them to become an icky, mean, hurtful, unkind person to other people in the world, right? And to try to get someone who might just be more about themselves, really more about conforming to the world. It's like all these things in our head, these ways of living life and viewing life that we view as just and fair and true, and they can be different, right? And as someone comes along who, loving people might not want to leave a relationship just because they meet someone else who is more on the same page as them, because they try to act with character and integrity and be just and fair in the relationship they're in, and they made a commitment to it. But definitely some of the more shadowy people, because it can be a little bit more about them, indulging themselves, thinking it's just and fair. Those people could definitely, but either type of person can leave a relationship. Sometimes the people who are more shadowy, though, they might do hurtful and unkind things to try to get the loving people to leave, so that they can say, well, that person's the one who left, and I'm the person who wanted to move forward in it, and blah, blah, blah. But other people don't know the shadowy things they did, like being intimidating and controlling, kind of being deceptive and manipulative, juggling the truth, not really investing in it, maybe investing in other things or people, and not really investing in the relationship, all as an attempt to try to get the more high vibe people in their life to leave so that they can go really do what they want to do. But of course, they don't want people to know the truth of it. And because sometimes shadowy people, what they have to offer people, because they don't really do deep, meaningful, loving relationships, is their status, their image, And so that's much more important to them. The loving people would be willing to leave a relationship because they're not as much about their ego and their image. People are going to think what they're going to think, and I don't really care. I'm going to live my truth. And the people who, it's knowing that people are going to think what people are going to think, more based on the person that they are, is going to influence how other people think anyway. So I'm going to live my truth. And if I think people are being immature, egotistical, self-centered, seem to have these weird ideas of what they think is just and fair in a relationship, or much more about themselves or materialistic, and that's why they want to be in it, for any of those reasons, that is not my truth, and I do not want to stay in it. And they listen to their more, in their earth sign energy, their air sign energy, their truth is, and their Scorpio energy and their Cancer energy, they're more motivated and inspired to have more hope and faith and belief in themselves and in love. And that's what they're listening to their intuition. And they're going to offer truth and love to the people in their life to move forward with them in that way. And if those people don't want to move forward with them in that way, or they keep kind of being deceptive or manipulative or juggling the truth or going back and forth or can't make up their mind or being immature in some way, whatever, the high vibe people in their life are going to move on. And then those people have the free will choice. Well, they probably didn't make the free will choice to move forward, but anytime there could be people in a relationship going through something right now, and some people that are a little more worldly and shadowy might decide to keep moving forward with it, but if it's not aligned with their truth and they're kind of being deceptive and manipulative, not wanting to deal with the truth, whether they're high vibe or low vibe, staying in denial of the truth is kind of like what's just and fair is trying to be given birth to, and the people want to keep staying in denial of the truth. No, this will work. No, I'm sure it'll be fine. And they don't kind of listen to their intuition with these people that are more mismatched relationships. It's going to, you just won't get the justice you deserve. You can stay in a mismatched relationship all your life if you want. You can stay in a mismatched job, friendship. You can do that all your life if you want. You just didn't get the justice that you could have had if you're not willing to be more manipulated by your more worldly nature and trust that the divine has a plan for your life and stand up for truth and justice. And if you don't stand up for your truth and justice, that's not what you're not going to get your truth and your justice. You will get the thing that you settled for. And it might keep causing you to feel left out in the cold and have a lot of mental conflict until you deal with some of those issues. And, first it starts within ourselves. Why do I feel left out in the cold? Why do I feel stuck? Why do I have this mental conflict? I invested in these things or these people. Well, sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with those people, and it has to just do with us. And we need to do this work within us. But sometimes people think, well, no, I don't have to do that work within myself. I don't have to work through my own issues. I am going to invest in these things, drugs, booze, food, a relationship, having certain status, image, money. I'm sure that will be the answer. But they invested in something that wasn't the truth. Well, they can keep moving forward thinking, no, I'm sure this is the truth. No, I'm sure this will make me feel better. This is the answer. But if it's something that's within them, that will never be the answer. And some people's vice is to invest in relationships. That's the answer. I feel left out in the cold. I have mental conflict. I'm going to go get me in a relationship. That'll make me feel better. And they go get in a relationship to feel better, but they still didn't deal with any of their issues. And they still have their issues. Their issues bubble back up again. And then it's like, oh, wait, well, you must not be the right person because my issues bubbled up. I have to go find someone else to get in a relationship with. So they never deal with their own stuff because they don't think that's the answer. And and some people have never dealt with some of their own stuff. Some people really, again, aren't connected in with themselves emotionally. And then they try to move forward in relationships. Well, relationships are emotionally complex. And they keep thinking, I can still stay more superficial and shallow, and I don't have to really do love, and that causes problems in relationships, but they don't want to see the truth of that. So then they go repeat the pattern with someone else, trying to keep moving forward with this idea. I don't really have to do I don't have to work through my issues that make me choose to decide this is a just and fair way to live, but other people don't want to stay in a relationship with me because I might want to keep staying in denial, and I might have maybe these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship and just have this more immature perspective of relationships. Well, if they're going to have people who are willing to stay in a relationship with them, it would probably be other people who are on that same page, right? And that would be a more just and fair relationship. If you don't want to do a more deep, meaningful relationship, then more high vibe people will not stay in a relationship with you. And then the people they do get in a relationship that are willing to, keep moving forward with them are probably other people who don't want to do a deep, meaningful relationship. And everybody's trying to present like they're these just and fair and motivated by love type of people, but hiding it's more that they think it's just and fair because of more of the status or the ego or the image, and it's more emotionally shallow and superficial. Well, then even other people who are in friendships or relationships with them don't really want to be around them because it's kind of seeing that it's more superficial and not, again, shadowy energy. It's like putting on a show, not really living your more authentic life. And some people never live their more authentic life. Their ego nature runs their life. And like they're this fake person going out in the world. And other people who might be like that are more than happy to work with them because they encourage each other to be that way. That's their comfort zone and they're comfortable with each other. Hanging out with people who are like that. And other people are like, yeah, no. They want us to hang out with them. I don't want to hang out with them. It's just like, they're just not real. So what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Taurus? The people in your life that you are moving forward with are people who you do feel are authentic. That would be like high vibe Page of Pentacles. They are who they say they are. Also willing to be a student of life, not more prideful and egotistical or stubborn or full of themselves. Willing to learn lessons in life. I don't know everything. Let's go on this journey together and face some of our fears and insecurities together. Be loving and encouraging to each other. Maintain balance in the relationship, because we've all learned that treating each other the way we like to be treated is the way to go. And we're motivated and inspired to do that because we love each other and it's just the kind of people we are. And then, we move forward with people and we're loving and encouraging to each other. What's coming up I just had a big clump and I was trying to stop them from coming out, but I don't want a big clump. Okay. What's coming up for the people who harness some high vibe Taurus energy that they might not see coming is the Eight of Cups and the Ace of Cups in reverse, and the reason is because of the Two of Swords. So I was almost going to say something like that here with the Five of Pentacles. The truth sets us free. We work through the heartbreak, the difference between the 4 and the 7 of swords is the 3 of swords about heartbreak. Back here, we could have been kind of stuck. Because again, there's people in our life, friends, family, adult family members, adult children. There's people we would like to have move forward with us in this way. And, but sometimes, if that's not how they want to move forward, they might want to still move forward with us in some way, but it's like, I think we have different ideas of what we think is just and fair, and I don't think you see the truth. You might view yourself a certain way and have these ways of being that you think are just and fair, but I don't think they're just and fair. I think they're kind of hurtful or unkind or intimidating or controlling, or I think you've got these issues that you haven't dealt with, and I've already known from moving forward with you before that these things influence you and it affects how you interact with people, and that until you have worked through them and are willing to tell the truth about it and seem to be aware of it and have picked up your investment in it, if you seem to still be in denial of it, of how you could act or behave in these certain ways because you haven't worked through some of these things, then I'm not going to stay in denial of the truth. And I might kind of keep my distance from you. Can I be a loving and encouraging person in your life? Yeah, but do I want to be in a more involved relationship with you? No. My intuition is telling me you still haven't healed. You still haven't gotten more balance within yourself, but you keep thinking you can everybody will just ignore it. And it's like, yeah, but then we're the ones who end up getting hurt because you act in these more immature ways. So until you kind of see the truth of it and are willing to come forward with the truth, and we might know some people who acted in some immature ways. The Knight of Pentacles in Virgo could talk about bringing the truth, speaking the truth. And some people with that card not showing itself aren't willing to do that. It's like, well, if that's what you think is just and fair, and you don't want to invest in the truth or healing a relationship or moving forward or clearing up some confusion or deceptive or hurtful or unkind ways of being, then don't speak the truth and keep living your life like that. Keep deceiving and manipulating people. Keep moving forward the way you're moving forward, thinking it'll all work out. I just don't think it'll work out for you the way you think. But in the Five of Pentacles, people are detaching from some people who harness this energy in a shadowy way, and that's the Eight of Cups also. The Eight of Cups walks away from the Seven of Cups, which is Scorpio energy, which is the Seven of Cups. And it's like people have these illusions that they can be more immature or deceptive or manipulative or whatever, and they keep thinking people are going to want to keep investing in them and moving forward with them. And I'm not going to keep investing in denial and people who want to stay shadowy Two of Swords in denial of the truth. They have this way of living life that they could love and that they think is like living the dream life, or it's more about them, or it's more about these things. And so long as they're kind of caught up in that illusion, it's just like us when we were maybe 21 to 25. We know other people when we're not 21, 25 anymore that are living life like a 21, 25-year-old. Well, it doesn't surprise us. We had been there. We were all caught up in it. And, at any stage of our life that we're at in our kind of emotional maturity level, it is just and fair. That is the truth of our maturity level. And we can't move forward because we can try, but we'll probably fail. Because the truth sets us free. We have to be ready to kind of more grow up and mature ourselves and quit indulging that more immature way of being to really conduct ourselves in a victorious, successful way, maybe long term, in a more mature way of life. And some of the other people keep thinking, no, 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 I can keep doing it this way. And it can work for a long time. But again, how long can you deceive people? And eventually, if other people have healing and growing and maturing to do, they do. And they get more connected in with being more balanced within themselves and listening to their intuition. And they kind of see through the illusion. And the people who keep thinking, no, 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 people, I'll find someone who wants to stay in denial of the truth forever, like me. Well, I think they just might find people who look for people like them to deceive and manipulate. You could have moved forward with people who are more just, more fair, more loving, and you didn't. Interesting. So you're more codependent, or you're more about yourself, or the ego, or the image? I have been looking for someone like you. You are just the kind of person I want to be in a relationship with. I want those things, and I too don't want to do love, and I too don't want to grow up and mature myself. But I might create the illusion that I'm more motivated and inspired by the things you're motivated by. I will wear the same false mask as you. You know, it could just be someone. Here we go from the Two of Swords to the Seven of Swords. You know, someone who has more life experience playing that game. So sometimes the people who are deceptive and manipulative get played because there's other people who have more experience and have maybe even done it longer than them or better than them. Just had more life experience of how to kind of manipulate, control people. And they'll stay in it for as long as it benefits them. But if you're not in a relationship because of love, why are you in it? And if someone comes along, more status, more image, more whatever, more willing to indulge someone, requires less of them, they'll go get in a relationship with someone else. So if we don't grow and heal and mature ourselves, there's always going to be people in the world who are happy we haven't. And some high vibe people don't want to be manipulated anymore. They used to think everybody was motivated and inspired by love, and they found out everybody isn't. And they found out people wear false masks, and they found out people wear very good false masks, and they found out some people, they've just learned all these lessons in their life. They're moving away from the people who have shown them that that is the truth of who they are, listening to their intuition, not willing to give up their dreams, knowing their dreams can't come in to reality with those people, so not investing in those people, and going to invest in aligning still with their hopeful, believing, loving nature, investing and detaching from people who seem to be in denial of the truth that love is what makes it worthwhile, and investing in people who are more balanced and healed within themselves, that have also kind of learned these lessons about shadowy people, and moving forward with other people who've seen the truth, who aren't giving up on their dreams and are listening to their intuition. And those are the people your dreams can come into reality with. And as you're moving forward, you're harnessing this energy in a high vibe way. The 5, the 6, and the 7 is Aquarius energy. The 5 is like, I have this dream, and I'm listening to my intuition about the different people I meet, about who's who. I'm willing to get to know people and, you know, and enjoy being in friendship and relationship with people, but the page can be, it stays more in a friend zone. I'm not going to invest in people until I feel more clear about their truth and what drives and motivates them. I do not want to repeat this old pattern. If they want to be in a relationship because they feel left out in the cold, no. If they want to try to deceive and manipulate someone else to get that person to come back in a relationship with them, no. They aren't very emotionally connected in with themselves and more superficial and shallow, no. go do that with someone else. I'm only going to invest more and move forward and invest more in people who I think aren't juggling the truth anymore, that have gotten balance within themselves. What's coming up for some people? And there might be some people right now that you meet, and you have people moving forward with you. There might be some people who want to also, kind of like you, don't want to, in the Ace of Cups, get in a more involved relationship. Just like, do you want to be friends and we'll get to know each other? And, I want to listen to my intuition because I've been around shadowy people. And, it could be someone that you just get to know, male, female, whatever, that it's helping each other during a period of transition. And to be helping loving people to each other as you move forward in life. And some of those people just might be people who become good friends, that some of those people aren't people you'd have a romantic interest in. There might be someone that you currently have in your life, or as you move forward, you could meet someone who's more on the same page as you, but then it's to see where that relationship is, and then you'll either move forward together or not. It's kind of going with the flow of where things are at. Well, and some people might realize as you're moving forward, they don't want you to go have a relationship, have a new beginning with someone else, that they are the person who wants to invest in you, whoever that could be, someone in your life right now or someone as you meet, as you move forward. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy that they might not see coming? The Page of Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Ace of Swords. And the reason is because of the world. So the difference between the 1 and the 8 is the 7. So everybody has these different people in their life. The shadowy people who might be more about the world, and the world can also talk about learning lessons in life, and they might be like, nope, I'm not going to invest in the truth. I'm here, this is where I'm at. And they have different people that they're working with in their life. I think the more high vibe people in their life, as they get to know them through this stage, eventually some of those people kind of see the truth that these people really aren't kind of more who they say they are. They're more immature, not more independent, kind of indulge themselves. And it can just even be people who just don't really invest that much, invest the minimum. You know, we're kind of looking for people who want to more invest in us in a way, and we want to more invest in them. So the same way that it can happen in relationships, it can happen in the workplace where, who are the people in the workplace who seem to be inspired to want to put in work and effort, have a little more hope and faith, invest in it emotionally. It's aligned with their truth. And who are the people who are just kind of floating and want to keep floating, but they don't really want to more invest in it? Well, the same thing happens in friendships and relationships. Who wants to put in work and effort to keep investing in truth and love, and who just kind of wants to, how about you put in the work and effort and I just float and I come with? And it's like, eventually people are going to quit putting in less time and effort with people who in turn don't seem to want to put in work and effort to be more just and fair and equally put in work and effort into moving it forward. They will work more with the people who are willing to equally work with them to move things forward. So some people who are kind of immature, who again, like, I might want to be immature, I might want to be more about myself, I might more want to be about my job or my career or my friends or my family or these things I like to indulge in. You're supposed to put in the work and effort to keep this moving forward and being just and fair and inspired and loving. And eventually the other people are like, I want to work with people who really want to work together with me in a just and fair way. And apparently that isn't who you are. So I'm going to quit investing in you, and I'm going to go invest in people who I think are more on that page. And the shadowy people will be left with the people who are willing to do that for them. And the more high vibrational people will leave their life. And then, you have a lot of people trying to present themselves as more balanced and more loving than they really are, but everybody's kind of more wanting it to be about them or be indulged or just being in it more for these worldly reasons, so long as it works for them. And I think if that's what makes them happy, that's what makes them happy. And the people who that didn't make them happy got out. And they're happy they got out. And they could wonder why some of those people kind of keep living their life like that. It's like, again, kind of staying at a stage of life and living it over and over and over. It's like, why don't you... I mean, is that... Everybody has the free will to have whatever idea of the dream life that they have. It's just... And some of them, it is kind of staying dead and stagnant. And they never do give birth to anything new. And other people are like, oh my gosh, don't you just have the itch to kind of not want to do the same thing over and over? Like, could we go try something new? Could we go somewhere new? And the other people are like, why would we want to do that? It's like, oh my God, because this gets old? And let other people do it. Other people are moving on. They're becoming independent of it. They're going to go invest in a new beginning, go on a new journey. They're going to heal. They're going to work through feeling left out in the cold, work through kind of feeling up in their head or defensive or betrayed. And they're going to go find people who are more on the same page as them. And I think they will be emotionally fulfilled and happy because they took action on their truth. Some other people might keep putting work in a relationship, hoping other people will change, and those people will maybe never change, but they don't want to see the truth of it. And it will be an end to them having the ability to manifest their dreams into reality because they weren't willing to listen to their intuition. Both Pisces in the Eight of Cups is about listening to your intuition, and in Two of Swords of Libra can be about listening to your intuition. They weren't willing to listen to their intuition. So they kind of got the things of the world, but those things of the world weren't what they thought they would be or what they were cracked up to be. But if you're not willing to love yourself enough to invest in your truth, and if the people in your life, that's not their truth and they don't want to move forward with you, you let them go live their life the way they want that you don't find emotionally fulfilling. And you offered them the opportunity to come with you, but it had to be in truth and love and justice and fairness. And if that's not their truth, then your dream couldn't come into reality with them anyway. And so you go to live your authentic truth and enjoy your life with people where you're not kind of living a lie. Let the other people do that. So there you go, Taurus. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.